Welcome to this session. The session today is essentially going to be examining where we are on this timeline on challenging the threat and the reality of drought and the challenges of land degradation and restoring the land as well, because the challenges are immense. It's a huge, huge job. We've got Riyadh coming up. We've heard this time and time again. So where are we and what are the challenges? And also, hopefully today, we're going to be getting some insights from some key stakeholders. We've got some of the stakeholders who will be joining us on the stage in a moment, but there are others, so I'd like to know who they are. And if we have time as well, I would really welcome questions from the audience, because there is one thing I have learned over the last week, is that often it's those nuggets that come from the attendees who have that personal story to tell that really puts the issue into focus. So please, we will welcome your questions and answers. A very quick introduction. I'm Luquessa Burak. I work on BBC News. I'm a news anchor. I've also worked abroad in the Middle East. I've worked in South Africa, and I've worked in Sky News as well. So that is who I am. Let me introduce our panel for today. So it gives me great honor to introduce our first panelist, Dr. Osama Fakwiha, who is the Deputy Minister for the Environment, Ministry of Environment, Water and Agriculture for Saudi Arabia. Please take a seat. Thank you, sir. And also, I should add, Saudi Arabia will be the upcoming UNCCD COP presidency holder, so that is to be set. Also joining us today, representing the current president of the UNCCD, His Excellency Alain Richard Donwahi, is Mr. Curtis Jean-Francois. Thank you and welcome. Our third panelist today, we've become great mates, haven't we? is Dr. Murali Thumarakudi, who is the Director for the G20 Global Land Initiative Coordination Office for the UNCCD. Welcome. And our final esteemed guest today is Ms. Mariana Barbosa, who is the Legal and Institutional Relations Director for Green. Welcome, madam. We're going to go with a first look at where we are in this issue, because we've heard so much, haven't we, about land degradation and about drought. We've heard about financing. We've heard about the call for women to be brought to the table, not just to speak, but to act, to stay there. That is key. I think we just need to reset, recalibrate things a little bit. And I would first like to start off, please, by asking our panelists, and we'll start off with you, Dr. Fakwiha, please. What is your understanding, as the presidency will be coming your way next year, what is your understanding of what you are inheriting in terms of the status of where we are on this issue?
Thank you very much. I think, you know, Luquessa, our moderator, mentioned about what are the challenges. And I think now, since Saudi Arabia was selected to host COP16 UNCCD, the first challenge really we face is the lack of awareness, honestly speaking. That really, the lack of the awareness of the importance of land as a basic pillar for life in this earth, together with the ocean and the climate. And everything else is a byproduct. You know, there are 3 cups came out of Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. The Climate Cup, the Biodiversity Cup, and the Cup on Desertification, which is, I believe, misunderstood by many. It's about land degradation and combating land degradation, because desertification is the end stage of land degradation, and you don't want to reach to that stage, and that's global, and that's everywhere, whether it's forest, rainforest, or tropical forest, or it's rangelands, savanna, or in Argentina, in Africa, or in Asia. It's croplands, agricultural lands, wetlands. So it's really about combating all forms of land degradation and about combating the drought and enhancing drought resilience. I think the biggest challenge is that lack of awareness of the importance of land as the basic support for life, you know. More than 90%, and some statistics say 99% of our food comes from land. More than 50% or close to 50% of the world population depends on land. Land is also very important for supporting terrestrial biodiversity. Habitat loss is directly related to land degradation. It's the largest cause of loss of biodiversity according to WWF in Living Planet report issued in 2018. The amount of carbon stored in vegetation cover and land soil is the amount of carbon in the atmosphere. So there is a strong relation between climate mitigation and adaptation and the land. So really, our challenge is to really refocus the global attention to land again, and it's not a distraction from climate action, because focusing on land is not only help us with climate adaptation mitigation, but also very important to us for food security, social well-being. Land degradation is a major cause for migration. People leaving their places because of loss of livelihood and becoming immigrants either in their own countries or going to other countries. A huge social, tax due to land degradation. So the benefits are important. The negative impacts are huge. Now we have, estimates around close to 2 billion hectares of various lands are degraded to various extents. Most of the trajectory points to about 5 to 6 billion hectares of lands will be degraded by 2050 if we continue business as usual. There has been so many good initiatives, the Bond Challenge, Africa Grand Green Wall. Most recently, the Middle East is new now, but those initiatives that has been around for many years, they are facing serious challenges despite the commitments of local people and local governments, especially with the finance. They are way behind the target due to the lack of global support also, and the lack of global recognition of how important is land. We in Saudi Arabia, we look forward for COP16 to be a turning point. We as a presidency will spare no effort to refocus, but we need everybody, United Nations Organization, of course, UNCCD in the beginning of the forefront, the business community, governments, the NGOs, the financial institutions, to really refocus on land, and that's not a distraction from other global issues like climate change. It's actually is in line with the climate objectives, is really in line with the biodiversity objectives, because restoring degraded forest will be a major pillar to restoring biodiversity. We in Saudi Arabia, we are, demonstrating commitment through the Saudi Green Initiative, where we have very ambitious local targets for revegetation in one of the most arid countries in the world. So it's very challenging, but we are committed to that, and we really have already covered really significant mileage, and we have very strong steps toward that. We also launched the Middle East Green Initiative, which is really targeting 45 countries within the region in Asia, Central Asia, West Asia, Arabic countries, African countries, to really come together and to restore 200 million hectares of land in this region. We worked with the G20 to launch the Global Land Initiative. We are happily here in their pavilion, and we start to see the fruits of that alliance. So really, it is that kind of commitment, and we need really commitments on national, regional, and global levels and arenas to really see that land challenges are addressed properly. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Doctor, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And before I come to our next speaker, Monsieur Francois, I just want to put a question out to the audience. We're hearing all about land, 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 land. It's all about the land. Land feeds us. We are eventually going to return to the land. I want to ask you a really, really simple question. In terms of land, how much of that top bit of land, the top soil, actually feeds us? Does anybody know? Could you please put up your hand? Because this is, as His Excellency said, Dr. Faquia said, it's all about awareness. Awareness, really simple. Because if you're aware of this, you'll start changing your behaviours at home and you'll start raising your eyebrow when you see farmers doing a certain something. Does anybody know? Well, Gaki, you're putting your hand up. Please stand up. Okay, so it's not much. It's about 25. I've heard 18 inches, 18 centimetres. It's not much at all. So when you dig it up, because in that part of the soil is where all the goodies, you know, we call them the wiggly bits, the horrible bits that we all run away from, but that's where that hard work is happening for us. So until we're aware of that and what we mean by land, you start to change your behaviours. Okay. So there's an example of something that I have learnt in the last 2 years, Monsieur Francois. What have you learnt whilst you've had the presidency? What were you shocked by what you learnt? Particularly, I would like, because we want personal insights, Côte d'Ivoire, was there something where you said, oh, okay, that is relevant, or I see now how we can fix that?
Thank you so much. Well, I will share an anecdote with you before. When Mr. Donvey was elected in Abidjan in 2022, in May 2022, he asked me, he said, Jean-François, do we know what we're doing here? I mean, do we know where we're going? What is the job? Do we have any job description? What is the COP15 president supposed to do? You know, do we have any guidelines? I said to him, no, sir, we don't, you know. However, this is where it's important. He said, okay, look, we need a roadmap. Okay, and he decided to launch that roadmap, which is his roadmap, but his roadmap is a result of the 36 decisions that were taken during COP15 in Abidjan. And from that roadmap, what is so critical is that, in fact, he was a dedicated president of a COP15. Generally, COP's presidents are ministers, active ministers. And in his case, President Alassane Ouattara, President of Côte d'Ivoire, considered that it was critical for him to be out of the government. And that's a typical thing from Côte d'Ivoire. And so he's been dedicated to his function as President of COP15, which made him, I think, more, how do you say, effective, more, you know, efficient, more efficient. And so that's about the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is that in terms of takeaways from the first year, because we have